tell I'm in denial?
You can't stay at the top forever.
I was also very surprised when I looked at my phone and saw Joe Girardi dismissed.
Well, I think mine were with common sense.
I think now belongs in the all-time greats top 10.
Boston, I really think only got to this point because of a guy named Chris Middleton being out for the Bucks.
That power play just was unbearable. It was humming.
Man, am I happy. I knew that this was going to happen. I knew he was going to come back.
When I think of New York Yankees now is Judge, probably people in the past when Jeter was coming up.
I would be shocked. A little bit hurt.
Hey, this is Greg Tepper of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, TexasFootball.com, and Valley Sports Southwest. You are listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week. Gonna be just several discussions, but I'm Kevin, and I'm joined by the Combine Drill Master, Austin.
That's an interesting one. That's a new one. Drill Master. Well, the Combine is going on right now, and it is an interesting time in football because a lot of guys have been Combine greats just for that run time, and you have Tom Brady, who, statistically speaking, had one of the worst Combines ever, at least speed, agility-wise, and jump-wise, all that stuff. So we were talking about this. How much do you value the Combine, and how much does it affect? It depends on the position, but what is your take on that?
I think the measurements are interesting. Like someone was talking about wingspan for a corner, and I was like, okay, I get that for reaching the ball. But yeah, the broad jump, like John Ross, I think is the fastest 40 time ever, and that really hasn't translated to wide receivers. So I think it's a give and take. Like you have to use it, but also it's not a huge thing. Like, oh my gosh, this guy is fastest runner. I need to go trade up higher for him. So I think it's just like a small part of a portfolio of when I consider drafting someone, but it makes for some good highlights.
Yeah, I understand it. It really depends on the other aspects of a player's game, and I know like Bryce Young isn't throwing. I don't think he has to, but for players that do, seeing a quarterback throw, I think is a positive. Seeing a receiver catch is a positive. Seeing them do drills like running back, linebacker drills where they have to be athletic is good. But the mental part of the game, those interviews that we don't see where they're testing their mentals, I think is more important than any of the physical events.
I would agree. And Dan Campbell said, I think it was a true quote where he's like, I care more about the interview than what they do in a single day.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yeah. And then I kind of want to talk about Bryce Young. What do you think about the height? I'm not worried about the height of Bryce Young because that seems to be a huge topic of discussion I'm seeing on Twitter.
I think it matters, but it doesn't matter as much. He's not going to be able to avoid. Once somebody puts their hands on him, I think he's going down. He doesn't really have the ability to fight off sacks as well as some other players. And as long as he can keep his vision down the field good at his height, I think he'll be fine. But it definitely matters. It'll affect his game, but that doesn't necessarily mean it'll affect it negatively.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, because I still think he's one of the best quarterbacks. I think I might prefer Stroud over him, but maybe just my personal preference.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, and then we're getting close to the franchise tag deadline. People are already announcing who's going to get franchise tagged, so we can't really do predictions. But it looks like Josh Jacobs is going to get franchise tagged. Then there's the big debate of either Daniel Jones or Saquon. And then I'm pretty sure Tony Pollard's going to get franchise tagged. Same with Lamar Jackson. And I also heard Evan Ingram from Jaguars.
Yeah,
I'm not really
Deron
sure.
Payne for Washington.
Payne. You mentioned that. Payne. I like doing the franchise tag on running backs because it's just a 1-year deal, and I'm not a huge proponent of doing a multi-year deal for a running back. So, it is an interesting situation though with the Giants because I would probably franchise tag Jones and then see if I can make a deal work with Saquon. And then if it doesn't, I lose Saquon more than Jones.
Yeah, and you really have to consider who's more important to the success of the team. So I would franchise tag Barkley, but you don't necessarily know if Jones is going to have another great year like that. So maybe you franchise tag Jones because I feel like even though Barkley has injury past, he's so good. He's in that upper echelon of running backs to where I'm fine paying a lot of money to, and there's not many of those guys. But it realistically, you could. I know the whole talk about you can't pay a running back a lot and win a Super Bowl, and I disagree with that still because I believe that Titans team could have won a Super Bowl if they were up against the Chiefs and they had Derrick Henry and they were running on anybody. I think that team could have won a Super Bowl, and that's and the same thing with Christian McCaffrey right now on the 49ers. I don't think they're a hindrance to their team, but you really do have to be in that upper echelon of great runners, and I think Saquon is one of those, so I wouldn't mind paying him a long-term deal. Just not too long, like 4 years, 3 years, something like that, where you can get some stability and know what your team's going to look like in the future, or at least near future.
Yeah, I'm on the opposite side, but I do agree. Henry's an outlier, but we're gonna save this conversation.
So you don't think the 49ers can win a Super Bowl?
Well, McCaffrey is also, I kind of view him more as a wide receiver, but I'm gonna say,
but he runs the ball more than anything.
We're gonna put. I don't want to get too big into this discussion because I want this into an off season. We'll do a video.
It is off season,
but like we're kind of not in really off season mode.
We're in off season.
Okay. So you want to have it?
We don't have to have it right now.
Okay. But I wanted to dedicate a video.
Yeah, we can dedicate a video. Are you saying it's going to be about the importance of running backs or
just
what?
Like 2 takes on running backs, or like we'll discuss the running back, because to me there are some outliers, and to me a running back's shelf life, like if I want to call it that, where he's like truly productive, is to me like 5 or 6 years. And there are
Henry's
outliers
been
that
I know productive again this year.
To me Henry's an outlier. McCaffrey's been injured, but this season was very good. I just don't get Henry. Like I'm just like, and Adrian Peterson was also very good for a very long time. But usually there's kind of that cycling of running backs. And so I think if you have a running back in the amount of time, like I get why they would want to pay Barkley. I just would be hesitant to give him like a 4-year mega deal. And I would only franchise tag Jones because I'm scared if I let Jones hit the open market, I think someone's going to give him a huge deal and he'll leave. But with Barkley, I think you have a little bit more time. Like a day or two.
I franchise tag Jones because I'm not that confident that this year was his peak. And I need to see whether this year was his peak or not. And if it was his peak, you need to move off of him because obviously, like this year, he was good, but he wasn't great. And he obviously did what he needed to do, but I need to see more improvement next year. And for Barkley, you know what you're going to get. Even if he gets hurt, you know the player, if he's healthy, what you're going to get. And so I feel like I would not be scoffing at a 4-year deal.
Yeah, you could if you work it to where you're paying him the most, where you can make it like a 2-year deal. If you like cut him 2 years in, then I would be cool with that. Because I think 6 years is the average, but there are outliers, and I'm not sure if he's an outlier.
Well, the average of every player, the average life in the NFL is 2 years, maybe less.
To me, there's a drop off because with a wide receiver, to me, it's like 8 years.
I know it's not though.
Okay, I'm trying to think because running back
AJ Green, okay, just retired at 33.
Yes.
Okay, in the past 3 or 4 years, he wasn't that great. His prime was about 6 years.
But I'm comfortable giving a wide receiver a second contract and them still being productive through that time. To me, with running backs, it just seems they are really productive and then they hit a cliff, and that's it. Because look at Todd Gurley, even though he also
Todd Gurley was his knees degenerated. He had Brandon Roy syndrome.
And then
he could have been any position. He could have been any position, and his knees would have disintegrated, and he wouldn't have been able to play anymore.
All right, we'll go Zeke.
I don't think Zeke's as bad as other people do. He's one of the best blocking running backs in the league.
Well, yeah, but I'm not going to pay a running back his contract just because he can block.
He's not completely inefficient. He's not great.
He's not as good as he was.
That's true, but it doesn't mean he's not capable.
Fell off.
I don't think he fell off a cliff.
To me, there's that speed.
You said 6 years. What do you mean by 6 years? Is 6 years their prime, or 6 years their usability, or 6 years what? You don't think Zeke? Okay, so you think Zeke is unusable?
Yes.
Oh, I cannot agree.
Or, like,
okay, let's put it this way:
it's not unusable.
If the Cowboys only have Tony Pollard, they are going to give up more sacks. It is going to happen because Tony Pollard cannot block. He cannot block.
If Zeke is your number one running back, or a running back like Zeke is your number one running back, I'm going to say you have a problem. He's a situational running back now.
That you would consider unusable.
So my thing with the productive or the usability is the number one running back. To me, if he's going to be my bell cow, he's only good for about 6 years. Henry is the...
There's a difference between... But not every great running back is a bell cow. You don't have to use them 2 out of 4 downs.
Okay,
to be
then
a
I
bell
would
cow.
probably...
to be a bell cow, you do have to use them 2 out of 4 downs. But I don't think you have to do that with your number one running back consistently.
Okay, what?
Because here's the thing, like, well, you're saying that you pay a lot because bell cow 6 years, you can't pay a running back a lot if he's not a bell cow. Is that what you're saying?
Well, here's my... To me, when they're like, give me the big deal, they're like, I'm the best running back in the game, and I kind of view it as a bell cow. Like, what's your view of a running back? Like, I'm going to hand the guy the ball off, and I also want to be productive in the passing situation. But not, like, if my running back's running routes, to me, it's almost a hybrid of a wide receiver.
No, but that's inconsiderate to say that he's a hybrid of a wide receiver. He's a running back. If he's running the ball, he is a running back.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about running routes, pass catching. Like what we see.
No, I get that, but almost like, okay, is Eckler a wide receiver then? Eckler gets about 700 receiving yards a year now.
Is he just catching it out of the backfield?
Does it matter where he catches it?
Does it matter? Yes.
Why?
Because with McCaffrey and Kamara, it's almost like, and like it was Le'Veon Bell at that time.
Okay, but Bell was lining up in the backfield. Kamara normally runs out in the backfield, and same with McCaffrey normally, like 90% of the time.
But like I can put him out and like go, hey, run up.
You won't though, like maybe 5% of the time, but. I mean, they use check as a tight end sometimes, and that's on the line of scrimmage.
I wouldn't use. To me, where my running back, I want to primarily give him the ball running. And, like, you need to catch and also make a block. But to me, running well, you need that speed, but you also need a good line of scrimmage. And to me, the line of scrimmage determines it more. Like, I would rather pay a lineman more than a running back. I just draft one in the second round.
That's tough, though, because there's 5.
But I'd rather give out huge individual contracts to each lineman than pay one mega contract to a running back. I just would not pay a running back. Like,
I don't understand your reasoning, though. Like, okay, for example, Austin Eckler, you say he's not a receiver.
How much is he making?
Austin Eckler?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm looking it up. So it's 4 years. Okay, 6 million or wait, average salary of 6 million. I think I'm cool paying a running back my starting running back 6 million.
That's his signing bonus. Wait.
No, it says
Okay,
annual
he's a
average.
free agent after next year. In the past 2 seasons, he has led the league in rushing plus receiving touchdowns.
But it's his base is annual average.
I don't know, I get that, but after this season, he's gone. After this upcoming season, he's a free agent, and I guarantee you, he will get more than $6 million if he leads the league in rushing plus receiving touchdowns for 3 straight years. That's unheard of, Kevin. Unheard
Yeah,
of.
I'm not paying him.
You're not paying him?
He's gonna be 28.
He's a wide receiver though.
I wouldn't pay.
Rushing plus receiving. Why not though? I don't understand your reasoning.
Because he's gonna be 28. He's done.
But he's a wide receiver.
It's not worth it.
He's a wide receiver. No. You wouldn't pay a wide receiver 20?
I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't pay Austin Eckler.
You wouldn't pay a wide receiver 20?
How much would you pay Eckler? What would be the annual average? Is it over
25? Yes, way over 10 million. He's not. Kevin, do you understand what rushing plus receiving touchdowns?
I understand.
He scores the most touchdowns in the league.
But I'm not paying him. I'm not paying him.
Why? I don't understand your reason. You're not telling me why.
I've said his
no,
age.
You haven't.
He's going to decline. He's going to decline.
Then why would you pay a wide receiver at 28?
Because the wide receiver is not the.
He's a wide receiver.
He's only running routes. Is he not running?
Do you think wide receivers only run routes? They block every running play.
They don't take as much physical wear and tear as a running back does.
Dude, what was your point about Christian McCaffrey being a wide receiver?
McCaffrey to me seems to where I'm willing to pay more than that, but he's on the judge. But I might still not pay McCaffrey that enough money. So I'm not really going to pay a running back. I'm just going to go, hey, man, thanks for your service. Peace out. I'm going to go draft a running back in the 2nd or 3rd round.
But here's the thing. You're not replacing him. Eckler is not Eckler, McCaffrey. You don't replace those guys. Yes, you can replace a Leonard Fournette, just a really hard runner. Yes, you can replace a LeGarrette Blount. You can replace those guys. Those are just really hard runners. You just tell them to run forward. You're not replacing Eckler. You're not getting that's why I'm totally fine with the Packers keeping Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is one of the best pass-catching running backs in the league. You're not getting an Aaron Jones again. You don't just draft those guys. Those aren't guys you get every year. There is only a couple running backs in the league that I'm like, wow, that guy is really a dual threat. He can really catch the ball, and he can really run the ball. If you let Eckler go, you can't just draft him. Again, you're not just drafting him.
But here's my thing. I would take the money and divide it up to replace the overall production.
You can't.
That's how I would do it.
I don't think you can. Here's the problem. When you're a quarterback, there is nothing more important to you than the run game. Why? You look at Brady. Brady loves to run the ball and options to runs because it opens up passing more. If you can run, that's the reason why they were so bad this year, because it allows you to play action. And you can't do that with just any running back. Yes, if you have the best O-line in the league, you can almost run with anybody. But you're not catching the ball out of the backfield with that. You're not making the extra plays. The Chargers deal with injuries on their O-line every year. Every year. Every year their wide receivers get hurt. Every year. And you know what happens? Eckler leads the league in rushing plus receiving touchdowns. Eckler with a hurt O-line, with hurt wide receivers, knowing. I watched a Raiders game between Raiders and Chargers. And you know what Justin Herbert did? He gave the ball to Eckler almost every game, every play. Because he knew that was his only chance. And you're not replacing that guy in the draft. You can't replace an Eckler.
I think I could draft a running back in the 2nd round to fill out the run game, and then I would make other positions and just pay them. But you and I, that's just my view. I just don't.
Let me say why. Okay, for wide receiver purposes, is getting a lot of receptions a lot because He had 107 receptions, Eckler did this year. 107. He had 3 games with 10 plus receptions. Not targets, receptions. He's catching the ball more than he's running. He only had 204 attempts. He did not have. Here's why I think he's a wide receiver. He never had a game with 20 attempts this year. 20 rushing attempts, never had a game all year. His most was 19. He had 204 attempts and 107 receptions. He's not running the ball as much as you may think. Let me do 204 divided by the 16 games he played. That's 12.75 carries a game. 12.75. He's not getting hit like you think he's getting hit. But he's still a bell cow because he's getting the ball 2 out of 3 possessions. He is. Or 2 out of 4 possessions. Or 2 out of 4 downs. He is. Because he's touching the ball so many times.
All right. I think I'm still going to stand with my thing, but let's do this. What contract are you going to give? If you give a 4-year contract to Eckler, is he going to be productive all those 4 years?
Even by your standards, yes.
No, I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you. Is he going to be productive? Are you going to be happy?
Your
with that
standards are
contract?
higher than mine. So if if I think you would be happy, I would definitely be happy.
No, I want to hear from you, and then I'm going to tell you. Okay,
Yes.
He will, if you pay him
Yes.
over $10 million, and he is your number 1 running back,
Mhm.
the entire 4 years.
Yep. All 4 years.
Okay.
He may
And
miss
he
a game
does
every once in a
similar-
while, but that's not the same as like Eckler missed 1 game this year, but that's not. He missed 1. He played 16 of 17 games, but I'm sure we both agree that
Yeah,
that
that's good.
happens.
So he would have to be similar production to what he's doing this year, correct?
No, because
Okay.
he's leading the league in rushing plus receiving, which is unheard of. So similar.
I'm talking about
No,
like
he would have to be quality. He'd have to be good. But to repeat it is really hard because he's doing stuff that you don't see every year. He has 38 touchdowns over the past 2 seasons, Kevin.
I got it.
38.
So let's look at what's the leeway in yards. So he's
So
past 2 years.
this year he had let's see. So you go to all purpose. If you scroll all the way to the right, I'm just telling you this because you
Okay.
don't know
All purpose.
Football Reference. You can go to yards from scrimmage, YSCM. So he had 1,600 this year, 1,500 last year. I'd say you need 1,100.
Okay, you need 1,100.
And you see 20, he led the league. 18, he
Yeah.
led the league. That's 19 touchdowns a year. That is damn.
So you're
Uh,
taking touchdowns.
I'd say 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns. Rushing plus
Those
receiving.
years.
Huh?
All 4 years. Similar
Yeah.
to that.
That is quality. I don't think that's great. It's not like he is now. It's not all time great, but yeah, I would pay a running back. Let's say you said more than 10. I'll say 12.5 million.
Okay.
4 years. 1,110. Those are my
Okay.
1,100
So
yards
go-
from scrimmage, 10 rushing plus receiving touchdowns.
So you would give him 12.5 million.
That's for 4 years.
Okay. From what I can see, number 1 right now is McCaffrey, his average per year.
You talking about contract?
Yeah.
And what is
So
that?
He's what?
And what is that?
That's his average per year, 16
No.
million per year.
Okay, 16.
If you gave him 12.5 million, he would be around the Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb, and
Yeah,
Joe
okay.
Mixon.
So, okay.
Okay.
Joe Mixon? Okay, that's
Joe-
one I wouldn't. Joe Mixon
Joe
was
Mixon's
not.
making
Joe
12.
Mixon would not be on my list of paying more than 10 million. But yes, Austin Eckler, 12.5 is my. Who is above him? That's what I want you to say. So 12.5. Who is above him?
Oh, okay, well, Dalvin Cook is 12,600.
Okay, so that's more. But just every player that's above. So Dalvin Cook.
Then Zeke Elliott, Kamara, McCaffrey.
Henry's getting paid less than him?
Henry is making exactly the same as his 12.
Oh, okay.
12 or 12,500.
Okay. I bet Henry and him get not obviously the 2,000-yard season, but I bet this season they were pretty close because Henry doesn't get that many receiving yards.
Well, yeah, but we'd go by the
he got 1,900 this year and had 13 rushing plus receiving.
his yards from scrimmage. Henry
Yards per scrimmage, he had 1936 and had 13 rushing plus receiving.
But do you think with Eckler's season that he would accept 12.5 million when there are?
Yes,
he wouldn't be.
He hasn't even made a Pro Bowl yet, which is one of the worst things I've seen in my life. Is the fact that he does not make a Pro Bowl. But ignoring that, I think he would. If I say I'm going to pay you the same as Derrick Henry, I think he'd be like, yeah, that sounds good to me.
But like, if from his perspective, he's like, well, Zeke got paid 15.
Come on, no, but Derrick Henry accepted 12.5. That's all I would have to tell him.
Okay, so you wouldn't go higher than
12.5. I would consider 13.
Okay, but
I wouldn't go higher than 13. I wouldn't go higher than 13.
Okay,
13 is my max.
Okay. Looking at Aaron Jones is only making 11,500, which is kind of nice. And then it drops to less than 8 million with Saquon. But I just wouldn't do it. I'd just be like, especially for how the years I would have to make it work. But here's my thing. We can pick. So you think he would be around 1,100 yards? That would be your expectation when you give him that contract.
That is my expectation, yes.
Okay.
I'd say about 700 rushing, 400 receiving, and then 5 and 5.
Yeah, I'm just going by yard per scrimmage.
Yeah, yards from scrimmage, 1,110. That's, yeah.
I would probably, if I'm giving a contract, I'd want it around like 1,200. And then my leeway is if you get 200 less than that, I'd be like, okay, but if you're less, like, do you get what I'm saying?
You're like saying if he's less than 1,000?
Yeah, if he's less than 1,000, and if he's around 800, I'm gonna be like, you're not making your money. The amount I'm paying you.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
I get it.
Because I'll go Ezekiel Elliott, even though Zeke is probably the extreme for this argument. So Zeke went from 2016 was his best year. Yeah. 1,900, or he's close. He was 6 yards away from being 2,000 in 2016. That was incredible. He was actually that's not his best year. 2018 is his best year when he had 2,000. Then 1,700, 1,300, 1,200. And I believe this year is the deal that he got kicks in. If I'm understanding correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he was on his 5th-year option in 2021. 1,200. 1,289. That's shocking to me. Now, this year, 968.
With 12, right?
With 12 games?
No, 12 touchdowns.
Yes, 12 touchdowns. So, we'll see. I think it's probably, that's to where I look at the start. It's another one. Who's top running back in 2016 or 2017?
Probably Le'Veon Bell.
Okay, Le'Veon Bell.
The problem with Le'Veon, though, is he held out a year of his prime.
That's true. But, yeah, it said mid-season contract disputes. And so even the year after that, he was still productive. 1,250. And then gets you around 28, 466. And that's when he's with 2 teams. So, to me, it's when they get around. But Saquon, will see how it happens. But I just think you'd have more time to sign Saquon than Daniel Jones, because I think the quarterback market is going to be very interesting this year.
Yeah, and I think that was just my Eckler. What I think would have to be
Yeah,
good
yeah.
enough for a normal running back, or normal, I mean not catching the ball as much, like for Nicholas Chubb.
Nick Chubb.
His first name is actually Nicholas, but everyone calls him Nick
okay.
Chubb. But it would probably have to be like 1,200 yards from scrimmage and 8 touchdowns for that type of player, because you're not going to get the receiving touchdowns. So,
gotcha. I like this yard from scrimmage thing, because to me that equates it.
It actually shows you what he does. It doesn't. Everyone's like, "Oh, Austin Eckler's not that good of a running back. He only had 800 yards this year, but he had 1,600 yards from scrimmage. 1,600.
Yeah, Chubb had 1,700. This year,
but he had less touchdowns by 5.
And he's in 27. So if I'm gonna guess, Nick Chubb probably around 1,500 next year, and then he probably hits the wall. Because who's another starting running back from 2016, 2017 besides Bell?
Zeke in 16 was amazing. And seeing was
17. Yeah.
17 he got hurt.
Okay. Who's another running back who was young 4 years ago?
Jordan Howard.
Okay. Do you want to?
My issue with Jordan Howard is I think he got played by the league. I think the league disrespected him completely because his yards per carry were fine. And then Chicago just went completely away with it. Like, he had no O-line at all. And for some reason, they just completely ignored him. But
because I think there's a stat, once they reach 27, 28, then they start to hit the wall, which we've kind of seen that with Zeke, and we saw it with Bell. And I'm just trying to think of another player we could use it. But it can't be like from 2000s, if that makes sense, because
Henry was 28 last year and had 1,538 and 13.
Yeah.
Well, all purpose, he had 1936 and 13.
Henry just defying the odds, and I don't know how. Yeah. I think he was splitting time in 2016, 2017, but then 2018.
Okay, well, let's go 2016. I'm going to go down just rushing yards.
Okay. Oh, that's a good one.
Rushing yards, okay. Zeke, Jordan Howard, DeMarco Murray. DeMarco that year was 28. He had 1,287 and 9 as a 28-year-old.
We can look at DeMarco Murray from when.
The issue with DeMarco Murray is that he retired after the next season for, practically speaking, no reason after he had an okay year.
Well, yeah. That was around 900. So 2013 was big. 2014 was that big year. But 2013, 1,400, 2,200 in 2014. Then 1,000 in 2015. Then 1,600, and then 1,900. Or 900.
But it's the hard part about that one is because they still had Henry, so they were running Henry and DeMarco Murray at the same time, so it was hurting both of their stats.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think DeMarco was still good. Is my point. I just think Jay Ajayi is 4th. Jay Ajayi was out of the league at 26.
Oh wow!
But he really fell off. He had one good season. If you look at his, I guess 2.
2016.
Yeah. Next is Le'Veon Bell, then LaShawn McCoy. LaShawn McCoy's a good one because in 2017 he was 29 and had 1,586 and 8.
That's with Buffalo. Wow.
And
then it goes 700, 600, 100. And he was still productive. Like they're above. Yeah, at 29, and then he hit the cliff at 30.
Next is David Johnson.
Oh, he's a good one.
If we use my criteria of around the 1,210 range, his last season in that, but he got hurt really bad after his amazing season. He's another really good receiving back.
Well, I think injuries also play a part of it.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, in 2018,
because
David
they're
Johnson
just
had
getting hit that much.
13, 86, and 10. His last really productive year, I'd say, or productive year, is 2020 with Houston when he had 1,005 and 8. And then after that, he really fell off.
Yeah.
And then next is LeGarrette Blount. Now, LeGarrette Blount is an anomaly because LeGarrette Blount at 30, Kevin, had 1199 and 18 touchdowns.
Yeah. So that's just like there are some outliers, but there is a thing like really productive, and then they hit the cliff. So that's just my view of a running back. And there are only a few good years, but we'll have to see what happens and then I think injuries also start to mount up because they've just been demolishing guys.
Yeah.
So that was good. I think that was a good conversation. I like that yards from scrimmage. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Cool. So anything else you want to add? Went a little bit over time, but
no, I'm all good.
All right, that's all we got. Thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.